Well, we're not supposed to do that here on the Browns Blitz. We welcome you in to this draft reaction show. Today is Saturday, April 26th, and this is our 293rd episode. Easy for me to say. I'm your host, Rod Bloom, and I'm going to bring my brother Jeff in. Jeez, you can tell we kind of threw this thing together. Yeah, there we go. Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
How are you?
Well, a little better now. It's been a really roller coaster ride the last 3 days.
Yeah, we're gonna talk this thing through, get a few things off our chest, and celebrate the good things, and talk about the things that maybe we didn't expect, and maybe we got a little bit of a gripe with. So let's bring our guest. In. Jody Gibson, our good friend from up north. Hey, Jody, how are you?
Good. How you doing, fellas?
Doing great.
Yeah, good to hear.
Yeah, everybody can follow Jody at JagVintage73 on X, and Jody was good enough to jump on here with us in about 15 minutes notice, so we always appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's a fun day to do it for sure.
We all had some spare time, right? Because they're not picking in the last two rounds.
Yeah, we're planning on doing other stuff. It's like, wow, we got some free time. Why don't we do this?
Yeah.
So the draft is over. Kind of just crazy, guys. I think we were probably all expecting a little bit of a roller coaster ride, possibility of trades, and you never know what you're going to get with Andrew Berry, that he's going to, that he might move around, that he might just pop you with some pick. You're like, who? And do some unconventional things. And you just kind of hope that you come out of it with, a lot of talent. You're just hoping that he's going to hit one of those picks. You're like, yes, that's the guy we wanted. So let's just kind of, before we just start going through it, let's just get your overall feeling of how you feel right now. So Jeff, I know it's going to be hard for you to summarize this into, just how you're feeling, but how do you feel in totality, now that you've seen the whole draft through, just kind of where do you stand right now?
I would say productive draft, probably the most productive draft we've had since 2018. Just not sexy. We talked last week about the over-under on the number of picks that they would take. So I just want to give you credit, first of all, for nailing 7 right on the button.
Did I say 7? I was going to ask you. I mean, I wasn't going to ask you in like a bragging way. I was going to ask you because I honestly didn't remember.
We set the over-under at 8, and before the final trade, that's exactly where the Browns were headed. And then they made the last move to trade up from the last 2 picks. So they ended up with 7 picks. So yeah, you nailed that one. I think it's kind of typical, for an Andrew Berry draft. He moves around to the spots that he wants to be in, takes the players that he has lined up, and we don't always like it, but he came out with some pretty darn good football players. I said last week we were going to be disappointed someplace. I mean, I was disappointed a lot, but overall, I think it's a good outcome.
So Jody, how are you feeling?
Optimistic, really optimistic. Like I said, I was telling you guys earlier, like going to bed last night, I was kind of a big question mark on my head. Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he's a fine quarterback. Like, he's had a great college career, everything else, but that one kind of threw me off a little bit. But I mean, it wasn't something I went to bed angry about, but I didn't know enough about the kid just from, watching the combine, hearing about him over the last couple of years. But he's a player, he's a gamer. So woke up this morning and kind of thinking like you were saying, Rod, yesterday. Thought about it a little more, feeling a little better about it. I thought the trade right at the beginning, I was hoping for a Hunter or a Carter, but to be honest, I wasn't shocked and I wasn't upset by the trade because they got a valuable number one for looks like it can be a really good draft class next year. And we banked some picks, and the Mason Graham pick. Other than that, my biggest worry about that pick is that Ohio State fans are going to be all over him. That's what I'm worried about, because we know how those picks have gone in the past for Michigan. But this kid looks like the real deal. Like if you watch his tape, if you watch him throw people around on that line, like he's a big, strong kid, and that looks impressive. And then after that, Carson, Judkins, Fannin Jr., like they're all football players. So, there's I'm not upset by any of them. But the last pick today, well, at 166 when they went Sanders, that one just caught me right off guard. But I mean, it's also exciting. It's going to be some good competition in that room. I just hope I just hope he comes in, and I think it humbles him a bit. I hope he comes in and has a chip, but a good chip, not coming in disruptive and bringing all the drama. But I hope he comes in and proves himself, and I hope between him and Gabriel, I hope there's a good battle there, a really good battle there.
Yeah, I mean, when I look over the list of who they've taken, I think I feel like you do, or like really both you guys do. It feels like they've added some good talent to the team, which is what we wanted them to do. Now, when I look at the picks they've taken, it's kind of different from what I thought they might do. But I mean, I'm really excited for Jeff, kind of, because they drafted a tight end, even though Jeff doesn't really consider Harold Fannin a tight end.
Right.
But
so
he is a tight end. And I got to tell you guys, just for reference, I pulled up the pick numbers. I just put in Browns draft picks 2025, so I'd have the pick numbers and the players they took. And Jeff, I got to tell you, they got round 5, pick 144, tight end Shedeur Sanders. So actually, I guess they took 2. That's the AI summary. So you guys see the problem with the AI. So, anyways, but they got some good players. It's the positions are a little different from what I expected, and a couple things there that you're like, why'd they take that guy when this guy was there and everything? But I mean,
that's every year,
going to be. That's every year, and I'm not going to pretend to know more than they do.
I will say this though, guys. I as soon as that second pick was traded away, I was excited and nervous because instantly started thinking about Julio Jones. That one for years we watched that and haunt us, and and a friend of mine goes, well, who did they get when they gave up that pick? And I'm like, nobody remembers. That's exactly it was.
It was Phil Taylor. Phil Taylor, who I mean, I think he
was good. Yeah,
he was good, but he wasn't Julio Jones.
No, and the picks after that didn't help either, right? So,
right. Well, not like Julio Jones. So
no, exactly. So
but the thing is, just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean you got to quit playing the game. Doesn't mean you got to say, no, we can't do that anymore. And that was years and years ago, regimes ago. Yeah. So you can't take a trick out of your bag just because it didn't work once. You still have to look at all possibilities and try to determine what's best for the team and what's best going forward. So, I mean, the Browns come out of this with the Jags first round pick in 26. And from the trade before the draft, I think they have the Texans 5th rounder in 27. So I think those are the 2 picks they added. I don't know that they have any others going forward.
Yeah. No, it was a good haul. Like it really was. Yeah. And as much as people complain about Barry, I think he spiced it up pretty good, because like a few weeks ago it was all about who wants Sanders to come up to 2 to get Sanders. I mean, everybody was looking at the Giants and everybody else, like that's who's coming. We're going to get a payload there. But then suddenly that fell off, and then suddenly it was all about Hunter. And say what you want about it, I think he played it really well. It's the things he said, that it looked like we were taking him, and then suddenly, boom, we got a bit of a load there for him, and here we are now.
Was that deal as rich as you guys thought it was going to be, or did you expect more, or were you surprised by how good it was? What do you think?
I think it was pretty good for somebody moving up for the wide receiver. I think if Sanders was that highly, I think if it was opposite and it was Sanders, that the Giants or somebody came up for their quarterback, I think we would have got a little more. But for
Right.
For a wide receiver who plays both ways, and I mean, as much as I like Hunter, I mean, he looks amazing, and he's a football kid and loves and eats, breathes, sleeps it. But my biggest concern is he's kind of wiry. He's not a big dude, and if he's going to play both sides of the ball, like, this isn't college, right? Like, these are grown men out there, and his wear and tear, that worried me. Even though they said they do like packages, third down, but I'm like, it takes one good shot to the shoulder, right? And that kind of worried me about him. So I like what they did. I like what they got.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff brought that point up on the show a couple times. Especially with them out there on defense. When they teams have a chance to, just kind of, pretty much take him out, and then you've lost the guy two ways.
I just think of Travis. I just think of Derrick Henry. I think of him coming through the line and Hunter being the last guy, and we got to play them twice a year, and him being the last guy to take Henry down. And that's not a good matchup for anybody. So you lose two position players in one, right? So, but I would have cheered for him. I would have been happy if we got him too. So either or.
Yeah.
As far as the trade goes, Rod, I mean, everybody's pretty much saying that the Browns, like Jody said, got a quarterback premium for a wide receiver trade, moving back three spaces. I'm a huge fan of the trade. I've been advocating for a trade down for a long time. Even if they went a little bit, further down, as long as they stayed the top 12 or 15 players, right? So I thought that was a really good move to get down there and get those two additional really big assets. To me, 36 is probably as big an asset as the second number one, or close to as big an asset as the second number one for next year. So I was really thrilled that they were able to add those picks.
I agree.
My problem really came into what they did with them. Not the trade itself, but now you've got to go out and use those picks, right? And what are you going to use them on? And I'll summarize it this way. I mean, it's kind of like you spent all week prepping Thanksgiving dinner, and you sit down at the table and you got dry turkey and mashed potatoes and nothing else.
Yeah.
All right. And then, you're sitting there eating your dried turkey and your mashed potatoes for a day and a half. And finally on day 3, they throw a little cranberry sauce on your plate and you go, oh, here you go. Like, that's kind of what this draft felt like to me. Right.
Yeah.
It was a roller coaster. It was up and down. It was emotional because there were so many opportunities to dramatically improve our offense early, and we chose not to do it.
Yeah.
And for a team that was worst in the league in offense last year, it took a lot of balls to make your first two picks defensive players.
Yeah.
They sort of made up for it with the picks that came later.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, there was no spice there. It was not sexy. There was no dessert. I mean, it was just, everybody said this was a meat and potatoes draft. I mean,
that's what we got.
But my God, I want a little sizzle with my steak.
Yeah. Well, we got it at the end, man.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
And you're right. I mean, sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead, Jody. I'll get back to that.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree. I was shocked. We went defense on both first two picks. But like I said, Judkins, I figured it was between him or Henderson. I would have been happy with both. But I know from Judkins, just from watching some of the Ohio State guys, like he's a hard-nosed runner, right? So he'll probably adapt well to this division. That Dylan Sampson they got, I didn't know a lot about him, but I saw some of the guys talking about him during the lead up to, and he's got some sizzle to him, like you were saying. Like, kid can move, and he's hard to pin down. So
Yeah.
the only thing that worries me about that now is like I really want Chubb to come back, but now I'm really worried too. With the two between those two and Ford, is he healthy? What's going to happen there, right? I'd love to see him come back because he's battled through and beat the odds before. I'm hoping he does, but that kind of worries me there. But overall,
right.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, meat and potatoes draft. But I just look at those first two picks on D. Like Graham he looks like he's about 15 years old. Looks like he's been, he looks like the guy after beer league baseball who's having beers in the parking lot. He's just a big looking farm boy, right? But strong as an ox. And then this Carson, I can't say his last name,
Schlesinger.
Like that kid is like, he should have went first round. Like he's a productive, he moves well. He seems to follow the ball well. Sheds blocks pretty well. Like everything I've seen there, he looks like he could be the real deal too. And with JOK, question mark, maybe he's a guy who can fill in that hole.
Yeah, again, the problem I have with that is just positional value, Jody.
Yeah.
I mean all these guys are. First of all, there were about 100 D tackles taken in this draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we used the 5th pick on a D tackle. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the drop off from him to number 10 or number 20 or number 30?
Yeah.
Right. It felt to me like a boring pick, a safe pick.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Myles Garrett will appreciate having him next to him.
Yeah.
And he'll probably make Mike Hall a better player.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say those two in the middle. That's get kind of
got some DTs.
That.
Yeah. If they can get these DTs all to perform, it could be a fun year.
It's so typical of the NFL that it's such a copycat league that the Eagles won the Super Bowl by getting pressure from their D line, and now everybody wants D tackles.
Yeah.
So every other pick it seemed like was a D tackle. Okay, that's great. And I know there weren't a lot of wide receivers in this draft.
Yeah.
The quarterback class was weak, so the excitement wasn't going to be there in this draft. But I don't know. I was hoping to come out with a little bit more.
Yeah.
Taking it as a whole, I think it's a nice group of players to sort of turn the corner from an old roster to a much younger roster.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take a really good draft again next year.
Oh, I agree.
To fill out a lot of gaps that are still there. We got nobody on the line.
That you just nailed. That's where I was surprised there. I was expecting a guard or a tackle, something. So I was, because we got a big hole there on that left side. We need to fill that hole. So
we still have a big hole at safety. In my mind.
Oh yeah. True.
And the safety kind of surprised me. Yeah. That they passed on safety several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But hey,
you
can't fix everything, right?
Right.
We knew that there were going to be some that they just weren't going to be able to address, and we kind of felt like last week that probably left tackle was going to be one of them. It's disappointing.
I agree about that.
Right. We should have taken one last year.
Yeah. When they traded back, honestly, that's what I thought they were doing. Like I figured they're going to take one of those big tackles.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought it was. So, but I
mean, to take D tackle with your first pick 2 years in a row, man, you can't be worried about selling tickets. Number one, and you have to be pretty secure in your job. I think.
I can tell you this though. Their linebackers, Myles Garrett, and their DBs are going to be happy because, like I said, they play the Ravens a couple of times a year, and you got Henry coming through there. And if he has a head of steam, we got two big boys in the middle now that can hopefully slow him down a little bit, right? I mean, it's not sexy, but I mean, I guess if you're strategically looking at it and the division we play in, ground and pound, and
we needed help against the run. Yeah, we needed help against the run.
Definitely.
And we needed help in the run game. Yeah.
It's a need. Yeah. It's a need for us, and it's a need throughout the league. To be able to stop the run, right? So, those two big guys in the middle, those first two picks, I think will make our defense significantly better. If not this season, probably for the next several years, they're going to make our defense a lot better. And,
I agree.
And if Schlesinger ends up being that green dot guy, the pick kind of reminded me of Joe Schobert. I have to go back a ways.
It's funny you said that, because when I watched him in Cleveland on the video, I was like, that's exactly what it reminded me of. The hair, even with the hair going.
Just Schobert was a real cerebral player.
Yeah.
A real defensive quarterback, and if Schlesinger can step into that role, that's something we've been looking for a long time. And it's a real position of importance in Jim Schwartz's scheme.
Yeah.
That Mike that wears the dot, that sort of gets everybody in the right position. If we solve that for 5 years plus, that's a super win, and I'll be happy looking back on it. Okay, but I'll just, between now and then, I'll think about all the guys that we should have had or could have had at 33.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you there for sure.
So, Jeff, I know when they did the trade to 5, we talked, and I said, who, if it's not Graham, who do you want? You said you pretty much wanted another trade down, hoping to stay in the top 10 and pick up another first-round pick, which I understood, because then you could get your tackle, you could do something else. But assuming they had no trade partner there, it stayed there. Was there somebody else you wanted other than Graham, like Ted McMillan or somebody else?
Ted McMillan went a couple picks later. I think Kelvin Banks went right after that. I would have been happy coming out of this draft with either one of those guys in the first round. Not that they're that much more impactful players than Mason Graham. It's just I felt like they give us a much better chance of winning right now.
I get that.
It's this draft was about putting players into areas of need to build on. It was not about winning in 2025. We're going to be able to run the shit out of the ball in 2025.
Yeah.
I would expect both of those guys to be 1,000-yard rushers, if not this year, in the next couple of years.
At some point,
right?
There's a good shot.
We're gonna do what we've wanted them to do. They're gonna run the shit out of the ball. They're gonna have nice opportunities in 2 tight end sets. I just don't see a whole lot of points being put on the board.
No,
that's been our problem.
Well, that was my worry going into the draft. Even if they picked another quarterback this year, right? Like, they're probably not going to play this year. And
a quarterback doesn't get you wins this year.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you said earlier, like you were talking about who you wanted for that pick, and like you said, on the offensive side, like last year we saw the trouble we ran into running the ball when they stacked our line, because we didn't have quarterbacks who can get that ball out and make the play when they stack the box. Our quarterbacks weren't able to beat guys one-on-one and get it to our receivers. So if we're going to get that running game going, we got to bolster that line. And that's why I thought we were going to go with a big tackle or somebody, big bruiser on the line, right? So
to not even come out of this draft with a guy in the later rounds that, worst case becomes a guard for you. There's going to be a lot of turnover on this line next year.
Yeah.
And we just don't have guys in place to do that. So great. We've gotten all these guys, but who's going to block? Who's going to be on our offensive line next year or in 26? That really concerns me right now.
Yeah, and who's going to stretch the defense too? Like, that's my other word. Like, we got Judy,
right?
But nobody else has proven yet on the other side. Our tight end, maybe the new tight end, and
Fannon's gonna probably create some mismatches, but he's not gonna outrun anybody.
No.
Judkins isn't gonna outrun anybody. If you wanted speed there, you should have gone with Henderson. He was the home run hitter, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So Judkins is the masher, the mauler. He's going to accumulate tons of yards and be your 3-down back, right? So Sampson kind of gives you the change of pace. So I do love the fact that they went and got one of each.
Yeah.
They did. you feel like the running back room is complete. You got complementary pieces there.
Yeah.
Okay? But someone's got to block for them.
Yeah.
Need a hole, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
so we'll be okay this
We'll see
year
about
as long
that.
as guys don't start. We don't have that attrition like we typically do on the offensive
Yeah,
line.
a lot of injuries last year. Yeah, a lot of
Right,
injuries.
but yeah,
well,
I'm confident we'll have a lot of 100-yard rushing games. I
Yeah.
just think we'll still struggle
I
to
would
score
think so.
points.
I would think so.
Oh,
But I mean, they and we'll get into it. But they drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks. I mean,
Yeah.
if you got a rookie on, you start to get rid of that albatross of a contract, and you got a rookie quarterback contract, then you have the potential to look at some free agent linemen too.
Yeah.
Which could help out. At least here and there. You're still going to have to draft. I mean, you can't replace your whole line as it ages with free agents, but they could potentially fill a spot or two.
And Barry, to be honest, he's been crafty with some of the trades we've got with some of the receivers and that. Wyatt Teller. I mean, you get maybe you can find another one of those gems somewhere out there or make a trade for somebody. Let's see what happens, right? So
yeah, we're going to have to find another receiver because I just don't think we have enough right now.
Do you think there's any interest in bringing Coop back? Because him and Flacco had a nice little thing going. I just don't know.
Feel like it. Yeah, I mean, just based on what he did last year with the Bills, I don't know. It kind of really felt like he dropped off the face of the earth. But
he didn't look like he did 2 years ago.
I don't know.
I wouldn't expect a lot from him.
No.
I mean, honestly, I almost feel like maybe the Browns have some confidence in the guys who haven't played a lot yet.
Yeah.
All these guys they've taken in the last several drafts in the 3rd round that everybody wants to call busts, who really just haven't had a lot of targets and a lot of time, and they've had some injuries, and they just really haven't. We really haven't seen much from any of them yet.
Nothing.
Right.
It would have been great to add another receiver, somebody like McMillan or Hunter or any of these guys, but
I like the Ohio State kid that went to who took him earlier in the draft.
Abuka?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I can't remember where he went, but he went like 19 or something.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd slip
pretty high
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us would have liked that, but
hopefully next year's draft is about adding some of the bling. I mean, we need some ornaments on our Christmas tree. We built the stand, we got the tree up. Now other teams are putting ornaments and everything else on, and we're kind of sitting there with a bare tree. But I told Rod at one point, I said, if Andrew Berry takes another wide receiver in the 3rd round this year, I'm going to burn all my swag. So he didn't technically take a wide receiver. I mean, he took a 6'3", 235-pound tight end / wide receiver / H-back. So I hope his game translates to the NFL.
Yeah, I hope so too.
He's a kid who's produced. Yeah, a local kid, and he's producing at big schools and stuff. So
right. Yeah, I worry about his game transit.
It's a popular pick. So you hope.
Yeah. If it translates to the NFL and Kevin can deploy him in ways that he can create those mismatches like he had in college, then I think you'll have another weapon there.
And you forget we got. Sorry. Go ahead. My apologies.
I was just gonna say there were 5 or 6 tight ends that I liked better than him.
I just kind of look at it here though too. I mean, he's got Njoku with him, right? He's still going to command most of the attention. And do you remember a couple years ago? I'm blanking on the big tight end we had, big white kid there.
Cooper?
No. After Cooper, the young kid they brought in, they drafted. He was in college. He was the blanking on his name right now. He was the top tight end coming out of college. Went to a smaller school.
Oh, you're talking about Harrison Bryant?
Harrison Bryant. Yeah. He did some decent stuff.
this pick is a lot like Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, both kids, led the nation in receiving yards as a tight end, and got to the NFL, and Harrison Bryant had 10 catches or something. I mean, I hope it translates. That's my concern about it.
It could, yeah.
And David Njoku's in his last year, and you need a guy to be, you need a guy to be that number one for you down the road, and we'll see.
Let's see how it rolls out, right? I mean, right now it's like you said, it's a lot of shock and awe right now. So now it's get them to camp and let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
So are you guys good with the Judkins pick? I mean, a lot of people probably I think a lot of people were calling for Henderson, but they're clearly two different style of back. Two different styles. So it really depends what you want. And the Browns clearly wanted a guy who could be out there, who's probably going to be more durable. Right. But he's not, like I said, Jeff, he's not flashy. But he could end up being a very, very good NFL back.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he's your workhorse. He's going to be the 20 carry a game guy. And then you're going to have Sampson as the change of pace, and he'll get 10 or 15 carries a game. If we really truly are running the ball like we think we're going to. So I think as a complementary pair, I think they work well. There's a lot of ways that you could have gotten to that. Okay, if you took Henderson early, you still could have gotten a workhorse back later.
Right.
Okay, there were plenty of them. Okay, so for me the order was flipped, but okay, we still
you would have gone Henderson. You would have gone Henderson first, and then
somebody else later.
I don't know who was on the board. I mean, obviously you could have taken him.
Scatterbo was still there. Neal was still there. I mean, Steelers took Johnson.
There was options,
early, but there were some good options, and I'm not going to nitpick that because they still came out of this with in my mind 2 of the top 6 or 7 backs in the draft. So great. So we've fixed the running back room. Whether or not that means that we're going to see Nick Chubb in some kind of role, at least we feel good about the running back room for the next 5+ years.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Ford in there either, right? I mean, that kid's got some speed too, right? So, like you said, that could have been in some of the talk as well, right? Because he is he gets some space, he can go, and he's not, but he's just not a ground and pound guy.
You're going to have one or the other, Jody. I think you're going to have Jerome Ford, or you're going to have Nick Chubb. I don't think you're going to have both. So one or the other. They're going to take that. What's Ford do this year? 3 something or 3.2 million or something?
3 something. Yeah, it's over.
So they're either going to spend that on him or they're going to spend it on Nick Chubb. And then probably add another UDFA back for camp. Just because there's going to be probably 10 running backs that are UDFAs that would have been drafted in other years. Right. So, so I think we're in really good shape in the running back room. I hope that we can figure out a way to open some holes for him.
Yeah. Just that line's the question mark. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's, I mean, we haven't gone over options and all this stuff and everything, but, let's get down to it. Pick 94, the Browns select Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. The pick that drove a lot of people over the edge. It's like, what?
Shocked everyone, including Don Aponte, who read the card. I mean, somebody on X needs to make a GIF of Don Aponte reading that card as like the WTF for everything going forward, right? I mean, when I saw the reaction on her face, she was like, Dylan Gabriel,
get the right card.
It's somebody's punking me, right?
I bet you almost every Browns fan had the exact same look on their face as her, though.
Right.
Yeah, well, that was
Absolutely.
right from left field, right? Like
Yeah,
there was
what?
no mention, there was no I think I heard Quinn Ear's name more in the lead up to this, that there'd be a chance, or Howard, you know, stuff like that. So, but those are 5th round picks, right? So I was,
well, you could see him reaching up for Ewers or Howard. I don't think
Kyle McCord was on the board. I mean,
McCord.
There was tons of ways we could have gone to take a backup quarterback in this draft. Okay. And again, we've been saying for months that this draft was loaded with future backups. Yeah. That there were a few guys that might surprise and could exceed that ceiling. But you were going to find a potential, a long-term potential backup quarterback, no matter where you picked one in this draft. And I said that last week, that they could take a draft, they could draft a quarterback anywhere with any pick in this draft. Yeah. Okay. And for me to take, in my mind, one of the very last options that I would have considered with a 3rd round pick was the biggest reach I've seen this team make in probably in Andrew Berry's career. I have not seen him reach that far in any of his 5 drafts.
I kind of compare it to, different round and different situation really, but I look back at when the Giants stretched to take Daniel Jones, and I was like, you could have got him in the third round. Like, and I kind of think the same way of this. Like, I hope he proves us all wrong. And he's a baller, and he's played a lot of games, and smart kid. But
it's not about him.
They probably could have got him 5th late. They could have, if they really liked him. We got a what's our last pick in the 6th?
Well, we ended up with one.
Yeah, we made that trade. That's right. So,
we ended up at 144, but we had to pick a
179.
I think.
They moved around too much.
Yeah, but
around 190 or something, or
192.
192. Okay.
But I think they could have got him later. So I think there was a lot of good ball players still on the board there. Like you're talking, there's a couple safeties, there was some, I don't know, but. Yeah, it was a little shocking, and then today's was too.
Yeah. I mean, the Gabriel pick, I think, has gotten a little more support on X as it's sunk in, just from people looking him up and seeing who he is and learning more about him, and people saying he's got a little more arm strength than what people are saying, and talking about him being a winner. And I think it's still going to go down as a pick that was taken 2 rounds too soon, because I doubt if anybody else had him on their board for the 3rd round. It's just how it is because of his size.
He played 6 years of college football, Rod. He's 25 years old. He's been in a lot of systems. He's got a lot of experience with a lot of different things and so forth. And he's probably one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks in the league or in the draft. He and Shedeur are probably the 2 most NFL-ready, right? So if you're trying to come up with a guy who can be ready to go this year, because you're not real confident that Flacco and Tiny Hands are gonna make it, through the whole season. I guess it makes sense to take guys that are NFL ready. Yeah. Right.
Well, you expect to play 3 quarterbacks at least.
Yeah.
At least we had, and that's our history. It's more like 4 or 5. So
I was watching not to cut you off. I was watching the draft with some buddies last night, and the clip came up. The Browns had 40 quarterbacks since '99. And they were all over me last night. And I was like, well, we play 3 or 4 new quarterbacks a year. So that's about right.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious though, does Joe Flacco count as 1 or does he count as 2?
2 QBs.
2 QBs, yeah. Two
I
different
mean,
careers.
if he's here twice, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like 45 and 47,
Oh, on the
right?
on the shirt,
I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A
Right.
little slash on his hat, 45, 47. Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole reaching for a backup quarterback just took me. I mean, honestly, yesterday it broke me. I was so pissed off when that happened. I mean, Rod got some really nasty texts from me.
I get nasty texts and messages from people all the time. I'm happy.
Join the club.
It's okay.
If today hadn't worked out, I mean, if today had worked out differently, I mean, there would have been legitimately a bonfire in my backyard with my Browns gear in it.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand that. I mean, you just wasted the 94th pick in this draft in my mind.
Well,
unless they turn around and
back at it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, unless they turn around and flip one of these quarterbacks in camp for a third rounder.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're going to go into camp with 4 quarterbacks,
happen.
right? Just like last year.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we get for Huntley last year? A 5th or?
And we didn't get anything for him, did we? One of the guys we didn't get anything for.
Did we just cut him?
I think we ended up
cutting. He was released. I think he.
Yeah,
was
we were
released,
hoping to get something, and we never did.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking of Josh Dobbs. We got a 5th or something.
Josh Dobbs, we got a pick for.
Yeah,
we got a pick for him. I'm gonna guess it was the 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know that. But
look at it this way: if we get to the end of camp and we're sitting there with 4 quarterbacks and we flip one of them for a 3rd round pick, then the Dylan Gabriel draft choice is a wash.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything worse than that, and it's a major screw up.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Like I said, my head just went like today when they made that pick yesterday, I was kind of confused by it, and then today when they did the Sanders, my head was like, what is going on?
I don't really know what their plan was for QB going into this.
Which is shocking, right, Rod? Because they were selling miles on, you're coming back. We've got a plan. So
right.
I'd love to have been a fly in the room to understand what that plan was, right? So because it looks like we're rebuilding.
I'm fine with it. Go ahead.
I'll tell you guys, I tweeted out this morning because I thought about this, and I really think the plan, and maybe this is dumb because of how Miles has really been, but maybe they didn't sell Miles on getting a defensive tackle or a quarterback. Maybe they sold Miles on a culture change.
Yeah,
these guys who are coming in are all guys who are either overachievers, guys who just don't stop, guys who have overcome things or just gotten the most out of their potential. And it really seems to be a shift in the way the Browns are looking at players. It used to be the Browns were looking at, the smart guys, the guys who tested well on, the raw athletic score, the guys who were in a certain age range, and that stuff's all out the window right now. They're not looking at just that stuff. Right now, they're looking for hard-nosed guys who are just want to play football, is what it seems.
Yeah.
Like. And that seems like they're going to try to change. Yeah. And now, is that where the culture change should come from your rookies coming in? Probably not.
Yeah.
But can it help? Yeah. It can't hurt.
No.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of football, so let's see what happens. Yeah. But I agree with you, Rod.
Yeah.
Like it is, and let's be honest. These last 3 years, some of the things you're hearing out of the dressing room and the culture, and with Watson, and some of the things you heard about not being held accountable, and all these things, right? So I think maybe you're right there, right? They need something to shake it up. So
they need guys who are going to lead by example and just play, and guys you don't have to watch, and guys who aren't going to complain, and it seems like they got a group of mostly. I mean, I don't know about all these guys, but it seemed like most of these guys fit into that category.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just the young defensive tackle just his comments coming out, I got pumped up listening to him.
Yeah,
he was like, yeah, he's ready. Like that's a big boy who wants to get his hands on some people right now. So I'm good with that.
I think that makes the Sanders pick even more of a head scratcher.
Yeah,
because he does not fit that profile. I mean, the Browns' modus operandi for positions of need historically is let's throw a lot of bodies at it.
Mm-hmm.
We need a D tackle. Let's bring in 7 of them, and maybe one of them will stick, right, or 2 of them will stick, right. So I think we're approaching quarterback the same way this year. We need a quarterback, so let's throw 4 of them at it. And see, what cream rises to the top. But unless this whole draft experience dramatically changes Shador and thereby Dion, I don't know how he comes out of a competition as a better player. I think the only thing it potentially does is creates drama.
That was my biggest worry the whole time about can he play football? Sure. Is he, but we just came out of 3 years of drama. Before that, we had the OBG drama. Like, it's always been something. And I was like, we need drama-free locker room. And my worry with him is he's bringing it in. He's got this entitlement to him almost. Just watching, him and his dad. But also the fact that the biggest thing with me was he's going to bring the circus with him. Is he going to do that? And also, he's only been coached by his dad, and that always worries me. That worried me from day one. Like, how is he going to take it? Coach tell him one thing and his dad tell him something else over the phone. Like, how are we going to handle that? So
well, and I think if that's the case, if all you've got invested in him is the 144th pick in the draft, then it's an experiment worth trying. I've been advocating for the Browns to take a couple of quarterbacks and just keep throwing tries at this. Just keep trying to take a quarterback until you find something, right?
I agree.
So, I mean, we've drafted 1 quarterback since Baker Mayfield. Now we've drafted 2 this year. Wow. So
and let's be honest,
maybe something good comes of it.
Yeah. Well, I was talking, a buddy of mine called me and he was like, what is going on? I was like, you know what? We've got an opportunity here. They've got a late first, second round talent in Sanders for a 5th round pick.
Right.
If something comes out of it, amazing. And I'm also hoping maybe this Gabriel kid's got more to him than what we expect. And maybe this lights a fire under him too. Like, I think back to like the days of Griffith Jr. or Robert Griffith Jr. and Cousins. I think about that and how Cousins, think about it. His career has been phenomenal. And maybe something comes of this, right? Creates that, gives the Browns options, and one of them rises to the top, right? Let's see what happens.
I thought it was kind of funny hearing Dylan Gabriel comp to the Russell Wilson experience. How he was taken about the same point in the draft and evolved into a Super Bowl quarterback and so forth. Same height, same sort of abilities, I think.
Yeah.
And then I got to thinking, well, if you like Russell Wilson, here's the thought. Why don't you just sign freaking Russell Wilson?
Well, because he wanted $20-30 million a year for one thing. But I get that.
But I would have taken Russell. I would have been happy with Russell 8 years ago.
Right.
The whole persona he created for himself, leaving.
Now.
His whole, I don't know, it's just his attitude. I don't know what it is, just rubs me wrong. Where I used to really like the guy, and then it was the Denver days. I was like, whoa, this guy has really become full of himself, right? So,
So a couple thoughts on Shador Sanders, guys. I think there's spots in the draft where most guys fall to that makes them attractive to a team, and obviously when you start getting into the 5th round, and you have a quarterback needy team like the Browns, it was enough for them to take a shot at him. Okay. I also think that there's a possibility that he is not a quarterback that the Browns have a huge interest in, but they saw a great value there.
Yeah.
So they're willing to take a look at him. Okay.
Yeah.
There's as we know in Cleveland, there's a good chance that he and Dylan Gabriel may both play some this year.
Yeah.
Assuming that they're both on the roster and that something else funky doesn't happen.
Yeah.
What if the Browns took him, expect him to play a little bit, and maybe expect to trade him for a better asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know the Cowboys would have an interest in him. We know this whole Dak stuff and the Dion, the stuff in Dallas. Maybe the Browns just said, you know what, let's take him. We can probably get him to a better team eventually.
Yeah.
That's not to say they don't have an interest, but I'm just thinking maybe there's something else in play.
I think that all makes sense. I mean, one other thing I'll add about Dylan Gabriel on the upside. I don't think it's going to be hard to get him to the practice squad. No. So if you're planning on just parking a guy on the practice squad for a year, he's probably going to be pretty easy to do that with.
Yeah, it's pretty wild getting a third rounder to the practice squad.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Anthony Schwartz there a few times. So.
Oh God.
Yeah. Is the draft even over? Is the draft even over yet? They're probably still in the 6th or 7th round.
Right now, I got on the TV here. It's 6. They're on 182 right now.
Oh, we can't even talk UDFAs yet or anything like that.
We don't even know yet. No, we don't have a clue yet.
Yeah.
But they're still talking about the Sanders move right now. I'm just watching right now. They're showing highlights.
That's going to be the headline on ESPN for the next 3 months.
Oh yeah. Well, we've been talking. My phone's been blowing up from all my buddies across Canada, friends of mine I've known for years. I'm a Browns fan. They're all giving it to me pretty good right now.
Yeah. We've had a bunch of draft experts on this podcast over the past month or two, and there are a number of them that really like Shedeur Sanders. So if you take the garbage away, a lot of people think he's a pretty darn good quarterback and has quite a bit of upside. So, I mean,
he's a player.
I think
I don't think it has anything to do with the skill set, Rod.
No, I don't.
No, I don't either. I just think there is almost nothing to lose by spending a 5th round pick on this guy.
And that's what I'm saying. A first, 2nd round talent for a 5th round pick. I mean,
right.
It's kind of a no brainer after it was called. You're like, wow, but then, hey, this really could come to something. Like, let's see what happens.
Right.
So
go ahead.
There was a lot of talk about Dion engineering, where Shedeur ended up, and those kinds of things. Months ago. I mean, a year ago, or even 6 months ago, probably around the middle of the college football season. Still, everybody was thinking of Shedeur as the number 1 quarterback in the country.
Well, Mel Kiper. There you go.
It does.
Yeah. And then a lot of conversations started about, okay, but Dion's going to be involved in the process. He's going to have places that he's not going to want him to go and all that stuff. And I just think that this was a collective FU, middle finger to Dion, to say, you know what, you're not going to tell us how to run our league. You're not going to tell us how to draft players. Your kid is going to pay the price for your big mouth. Yeah. And kind of, I mean, it's unfortunate for Shedeur, but I don't think 31 teams pass on his talent. I think they pass on the bullshit.
Yeah. And as much I want to say just Dion stuff and that, but some of that falls on him too. I mean, the arrogance. I mean, like showing up to camp last year in his Lambo with his $50,000 watch flashing around on the field. Right. I mean, there's just a lot of arrogance there. And like you think of some of these new coaches who are in the league who needed a quarterback this year, who passed on them, like in the Saints. I just don't think those young coaches wanted to deal with that, right? Between his arrogance and his dad. I think there's a good combo there, right? So, but he's a Brown now.
You got a cold hard slap of reality over the last couple of days. Let's hope, like you said earlier, Jody, that it lights a fire under him.
I hope it does. I hope
if it does, we'll be the beneficiary of it, one way or another.
5th round pick for a guy who like Mel Kiper had him going number 1. Like it's crazy, right? So I've never seen anything like that in the draft before, though. It's just wow.
Oh, and if you look at it that way, guys, if he turns out to be the Browns' future quarterback, they spent a 5th-round pick on him. Okay, they traded out, so they not only did they get him for next to nothing, they got Mason Graham plus a future 1st-round guy. It's almost like getting 3 1st-rounders. Where if you went a couple months ago, everybody thought they were going to take Shedeur at 2.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And look at the additional stuff that they could potentially get. So there's a huge potential for upside here.
Yeah. And to be honest, if they would have taken him in the 2nd or 3rd round, it wouldn't have been shocking, right?
Nobody would have batted an eye.
Nobody would have batted an eye.
They would have taken him. I mean, I think a lot of people thought there was a great chance he was going to go at 33.
Oh, yeah. It was all over the place. The internet, the betting odds were him. So,
Yeah, I was even saying, don't, wait, take the guy you want at 33 because he'll probably still be there at 36. I don't think anybody's going to trade into those middle spots.
No.
And you can still get him at 36. And it's like, how about 100 spots later?
I think when the Giants came back up in the 1st round and took Jackson Dart, the die was cast at that point. That was the biggest shocker to me in the draft. To that point, so. that was the biggest shocker.
Yeah.
That they came back up and took and got Jackson Dart when they've already got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston on their roster. But that to me said, okay, what everybody thinks about the quarterback rankings is wrong. And that doesn't align with what NFL teams think. So as we got further and further, as teams started passing, and then the Saints took Tyler Shuck. Right?
That one caught me off guard right there.
And you're like, what? Right? So you're thinking, okay, well that eliminates really everybody but the Steelers.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers kept passing, right? So it makes me think that maybe the Steelers had some kind of a deal with Aaron Rodgers that
maybe
if they didn't draft somebody that he would sign with them.
Right. If you don't draft a quarterback, I'll be on board. So you're probably going to hear in the next couple of days that Aaron Rodgers has agreed to terms with the Steelers, right?
Feels like that.
But could you imagine?
Why else would they pass on quarterbacks, right?
It made no sense. No sense.
No, exactly. And could you imagine Sanders and Rodgers?
No.
That would not.
That would be good. That'd be good for TV right there. I wouldn't want to be in that direction.
Right. Well, it'd be good for us because nothing else to take the Steelers down. Knock them down.
But that would put all the Housewives shows in one location.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to look at the Giants as the organization that knows how to draft quarterbacks either. But
No.
It's a little scary. But when they took Jackson Dart, I'm like,
that's a long-term play there. With when you've got 2 quarterbacks ahead of him, they're on. I think are they on 1 or 2 year deals?
Russell's on it. 2, I think.
Russell's 2, I think, and I think Jameis is 1. I think.
Jameis is 1. Yeah.
So they're thinking that Dart's going to be their guy in 2 years.
Here we are.
To come up to the 1st round for that is kind of shocking.
He probably needs some time, so it's probably not a bad spot for him. But
and there's a few teams that sound like him. The rumors were it was Giants, Saints, Browns were talking about it, trying to get back into the 1st. So, but it's funny we're talking about the Steelers there, and I can feel like a sharp pain in my back, and I look over my shoulder and they're drafting. It's like what is that? I feel like a knife stuck in my back there.
Probably taking another guy from Ohio State, right?
I don't.
Wow. Yeah. Will Howard.
There you go.
They always do that crap.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're not signing.
My brother-in-law called that about 2 hours ago.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They love taking Ohio State guys.
Yeah.
Just to piss us off.
Yeah. No doubt.
Jack Sawyer's gonna absolutely terrorize us.
I saw that
for 10 years. Jack Sawyer will terrorize us for 10 years, and And Will Howard will probably be the best quarterback in the class.
Oh God, I hope not.
No, I know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I wonder if Rodgers signed off on that pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wonder.
Well, this guy won't be a threat to him for a few years anyway. So
No, yeah.
there we go.
Anyways, yeah. So, I mean, there's hope, guys. I mean, some of this could go really, really right. With the running backs and there's hope at quarterback, and if not, they've got the assets to try it again next year, and they added a couple of guys that should be really good players on the defense. And I guess that's all they did. So we'll see.
It was an exciting. You know what I thought it was going to be kind of a low key draft after the trade, and they were, like you said, meat and potatoes, Jeff. It turned into be a whirlwind of questions and excitement at the same time. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this draft, Jeff, is that this is a class where the players the Browns took, I bet you most of the fans were familiar with almost every one of these guys too, which is unique. Yeah. Usually you get into the last few picks and they're taking somebody and everybody's like who is that?
Right.
It helps that their last pick was in the 5th round and that it was one of the top guys, but they didn't pick anybody that
usually look like the crowd at the draft party when they show like the team in the crowd and all the people are painted up and then they announce a player and all the people are like, and then they name it and they all look at each other and then go, yeah.
They were doing that. There were some, there were some people in the crowd, I think even in the 1st round, maybe doing that.
Yeah.
For their guys. They're like, we're just here for our team. We don't know any of the players.
Not a clue. Who they are. Yeah, exactly.
My brother-in-law just texted me for the Will Howard pick. He texted me, damn it.
It did,
yeah. You know what's coming. They pick 2 or 3 Ohio State guys every year.
Yeah. Cold weather guys, they're smart, right? Cold weather guys. They know
smart.
They can play in the weather. Yeah, they're good.
They love taking our guys. At least we got one.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, we got 2 early picks next year. There's a good young receiver in Ohio State that's coming up next year. So,
well, you're gonna probably need the number 1 pick to get him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's coming out till 27.
Oh, is it 27? Okay.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do something else to get another number 1.
You never know. You never know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, guys. Well,
good chance we will be picking high next year.
Next year feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was exciting because we've had 3 years without a 1st-round pick, and as my friends like to point out, well, Jody, it is the Brown Super Bowl, so
right.
Like, thanks, guys.
Right. Yeah.
So, I feel like we got like 4 1st-rounders this year.
Yeah, we got some good picks.
If you start thinking about everything that happened and who we ended up with, I feel like we ended up like with four 1st-rounders or potential 1st-rounders, right?
Yeah.
So from that perspective, you can't complain about the haul, and you have to feel like the decision making to add those picks was really sound.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. It just I'm still a little flat on it, I mean, Baskin Robbins says 31 flavors. Quit feeding me vanilla.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
right, guys. Well, any closing thoughts?
I you know what? Like I said, I'm optimistic. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the quarterback battle goes in Grant Camp. Hopefully, they pick up a few bruisers for the offensive line before we get going. And it's going to be another, hopefully exciting year for the Browns. Let's see what happens.
Sounds good to me, Jeff. Any other thoughts?
I'm really happy with several of the outcomes, and I'm happy with the competition to this point that we're going to see in the fall. All in all, productive draft. There still is more free agency to come. There will be some high priority UDFAs that'll come out of this class. And then there will be some cap casualties before the final 53 is set.
Yeah.
So let's hope that they can still fill some of these needs. I don't think we're going to miraculously come up with a left tackle, but maybe we'll find a free safety. Maybe we'll find another running back or a wide receiver that will give us a better chance. Look, I feel good about going back to the Stefanski offense, and hopefully our line is more productive because of that change alone.
Yeah.
But it still feels to me like we're punting on 2025, and this is this is a hard reset year. That we're just not going to see a lot of scoring, and it's going to make our defense. It's going to put a lot of pressure on our defense.
Yeah.
So probably be a little easier to watch than last year, but I don't think it's going to be anything to write home about. So
right.
Change my mind, Browns. Go find some more players.
Let's hope so.
That'd be good.
Let's hope so.
That'd be good. All right. This has been the Browns Blitz. We thank you for listening.
Thanks for having me, guys.